Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 31st of March. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals, right? Sorry. Okay, now here we're reaching the bear market. We're reaching the flag targets, having broken down, obviously. So we're reaching the flag targets on ES and on NQ. The buy signals failed, the weak buy signals that we had on Friday morning. On RTY, we are getting close to the target. We haven't quite made it yet. We're a bit short of it on YM. But I'm expecting that to make target too. DAX and the STX, we had some positive divergence and we've lost it. On DAX, we've got a nice looking double top, which is broken down with a target in the 21,300 area. On ESTX, we don't have a clear topping target, but we're making some progress to the downside. This is in expectation really of tariffs, which is going to depress growth and stock prices across the board. So now I've got a, we're getting to a stage, we're getting to the next inflection point here, and that is where we could form double bottoms here. And in the event that tariffs are put back, delayed, modified heavily, then potentially we could see a rally here. I'm not really expecting to see one, but I am watching the potentials, and as we retest these flag lows, we do have a potential to see this. All right, let's have a look at the big picture charts. Okay, on SPX, we've got, I've drawn in another, I'm going to do a post this morning looking at the potential double bottom setup here, and I've drawn in arrows here, and the arrows, the reason the arrow going down is shorter is because, of course, that's where the SPX double top target is. On the Qs, pretty much the same. On Dia, we've got a target quite a long way below. I've got more to say about that, and on IWM, where we're looking pretty much the same. On the daily chart, Friday we saw an open and a close and a move well below. Now that is a break. The daily middle band. Obviously, this was a fail really at the 200 DMA, which was never converted to support. Nice. So we should see the retest this low, and the target below is in the 53.60 to 54.40 area, and really I'm expecting that to get made. So looking at the hourly chart, we've got, you can see the flag here, and I've drawn in, I think I drew in, hang on, wait a second. No, sorry, I haven't drawn an overall pattern that I'm watching from the high, which is odd because I thought I had actually. I have on ES. ES, I've drawn in a possible trend line that we may be heading to here, and I've got that down at about the 5400 area. In the event that we go significantly below the low, which I think we may well do. Looking at the Qs, I'm drawing in a potential overall pattern here. It's quite nice. Decent looking, very decent looking trend line here, and in the event that we go down to that, which would make the double top target, I've got that down in about the 448 area, 447 actually, and dropping. Looking at the Dia chart, Dia, this is an interesting one because, of course, we're furthest away. It's a lovely looking double top. Doesn't necessarily mean it makes target, but it's just beautiful. I mean, this was just gorgeous. But that's got a target down in the 384 area. I've been looking around, playing around with trend lines here, and the obvious trend line here is actually, I've got an alternate here. I've got one which is currently in about the 484 area. I've got another one which is in about the 399 area. And of course, we need to get both of those and break them hard to get down to this target, which is in the 384 area. Looking at IWM, IWM. Nice move down, obviously hard break below the daily middle band, and I had drawn in already the obvious trend line here, which I've got currently at about the 192.5 area. I would note that on all of these, really the bands have still been compressing. I'm expecting these will probably, unless we see some changes in the tariff plans, resolve into large moves down, but keeping an open mind on that. We've got the target down here in the 182.5 area. You can see, again, it's a really nice trend line here on support, and to make this target, it's really going to need to break down below this this trend line here. So I'm watching those with particular interest on IWM and Dia. Looking at DAX, we've got sell signals. We've got a double top, which is now breaking down. You can see on the hourly, but it hasn't broken down. This is an end of day chart. RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the daily, and on weekly chart, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed as well. I think as the tariffs goes on is where this gets real for the Europeans, and the Europeans will start dropping too. So because obviously this will have a big impact in Europe. I'm writing the post on the effects of the tariffs and why I think there might be a crash. I haven't finished it yet. I split that into two posts. The one explaining why I think we're risking a crash and could see some really serious effects on the downside is quite a long one. I'm doing that on the bigger picture, but I'm basically going to do that first and then link it into the second one. I'm going to try very hard to get both of those out today. On Nikkei, we saw a hard breakdown below the daily middle band and looking good. So, but I think nice downside here. We do have a potential inflection point when we get down to the retest of the lows with a potential bottom here. And in the event that we see a big change in the tariff plans, then of course we could see a large rally, which is really what that pattern is suggesting. Okay, DX. DX, we've got this double bottom here, which really hasn't done anything. So I'm wondering if we're just going to break back down to the lows and whether that fails. I think that may well happen. On ZB, I drew in this flag support, which is really nice before we reached it. We're now back up at flag resistance. We don't have to break up from there now, but obviously we've got the trend line as a target, and if we see it break up, I'm expecting to see a retest of this high. And if you want to have a look at the bigger picture, I was explaining where exactly I think we are and what the options are on the TNX chart. On CL, I've got another possibility here, which I'm looking at with interest, and that is the possibility that we're forming an inverted head and shoulders here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Watching that with great interest. I'm not seeing this level here as a particularly strong level in terms of the monthly pivot, because that's actually only the monthly pivot for today. So it could be we break up directly from that, but ideally for an IHS, to make sure it was pretty clear it was an IHS, we'd see a little more downside, ideally get down into the 68.5 area, and then we would break up. But in the event that we did that, this would actually break up with a target in the 75.4 area, and on the bigger picture charts, that's a very credible target, which wouldn't actually necessarily be a big breakup, but could easily be delivered within the current trend lines. NG has broken up pretty hard from the flag. We could, of course, form a larger flag here, but in terms of the last move, this is about as large as it should be. I'm quite liking a move back to the retest of this high here in the 4.94 area. GC still going higher. Nice 60-minute sell signal fix has delivered absolutely nothing so far. SI, that sell signal made the possible near miss target. HG, I'm looking for a potential high here, and I was wondering about a possible head and shoulders forming, and we've reached the ideal head and shoulders neckline now. Thinking about seeing a bounce here, and then thinking we might start wending our way down towards the 4.7 area, which would be about where that target is. Nothing to really say on the currencies today, apart from we're forming a potentially very nice inverted head and shoulders on the Japanese yen. So watching that with interest. That would suggest a rally on the dollar, although to be honest, the yen quite often just does its own thing. KC, still wondering about ABC down to the 355 area. On SB, we've got a nice looking flag and we are testing resistance, and it might be about to break up. CC, nice looking double bottom here, has delivered absolutely nothing since I called that a week ago, I think. So waiting to see if that will deliver anything. It doesn't need to. CW retested the low as expected, possible double bottom here. Corn retested the low as expected, possible double bottom here. Soy did not retest the low as expected, but looking at it, it may not. We could be forming a larger bear flag, A, B, C, with a target up in about the 1050 area. Looking at CT, 60-minute sell signals fixed, not delivered anything so far, holding the weekly and monthly pivots as support, but obviously the monthly pivot is only support for today, so that may well fail soon. Lumber, ideally retest this high, but I got to say my other lumber chart has already retested this high, so I'm keeping an open mind on that. Live cattle could do an ABC flag here, but otherwise we're likely to retest the high soon. And lean hogs, we've got a consolidation sideways, and I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of the low. All right, let's have a look at questions and review on equities. No questions yet, so if you've got any, drop them in. But ES, NQ, the little buy signals we had failed, and we're back at the retest of the low on ES. We're back at the retest of the low on NQ. We're getting pretty close on RTY. We're a bit further away on YM, but we're getting into range. I'm expecting all of those lows to retest and all of those flags to make target. We do have a potential for a rally there if tariff policy is going to change, but at the moment, looking at the news, the White House is hanging tough and is actually talking about making the tariffs more severe than it was talking about. This is likely to have a bad impact on the market. I've got right. I'm going to be doing a post today talking about the short-term options here, more charts with arrows on them. And reviewing the targets that haven't been made yet, but I'm also working on this big post in terms of what could be the bigger picture targets and what could be the big impact of the tariffs and why. And I'm hoping to get all those out today. So actually, there'll probably be 3 posts out today. But the 2 main ones are going to be both from the Charting the Market Substack, and the third one, which is a bigger picture one, which is basically the economics. I'll link in the second in the bigger picture one. Sorry, in the bigger picture equities one. If you are interested in reading. So if you're prepared to take my word for it and don't like reading economic analysis, then feel free to skip it. All right, great. In that case, my pleasure as always, guys. I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. All right. Should be an interesting day. Should be an interesting week. All right. Cheers, guys.